Hi, my name is Jason. This year I moved to Seattle. I turned 35. I finished the academic section of my master's, and I am looking to partner with a church to utilize my gifts to serve God's people. And this is my wonderful wife, Annalisa.
My name is Annalisa. I also moved to Seattle this year. I did not turn 35, and I am right in the middle at the halfway point of my master's in marriage and family therapy. And like Jason, I am looking to partner with the church to serve God's people and use the gifts that He's given us.
I wasn't always a Christian, nor did I grow up in the church. I thought the Bible was boring. I thought prayer was like talking to an imaginary friend. And I thought Jesus, if he was real, was galaxies away from me and my problems. Christianity was flat and ineffective. I preferred my master, addiction, and addiction is a very cruel master. And after serving addiction for several years, being brutalized, at the end of it, I was homeless, I was friendless, and I had nothing except a ticket in my hand to San Diego to my fourth rehab, which my parents purchased for me in hopes that I would turn my life around. And it was there that God peeled open my mind to see the beauty and reality of the love of God for me in Jesus. And it was there that I became a whole new person with a whole new heart and a whole new perspective. The Bible was awesome, prayer was real, and going to church and serving God's people was what it was all about.
I did grow up in the church, and I was taught about Jesus and the gospel pretty much from birth until I was about 17, at which point I moved out. I was not a Christian. I didn't want to believe those things. I believed them on principle, but I didn't want to live by them. So around the time I turned 19, I had had a number of failed relationships, and I started dating somebody from that church. He wasn't a Christian, but his mom was, and so I spent quite a bit of time talking with her. And she kind of reminded me of all the truths that I had forgotten and abandoned. And for the first real time, my interest was piqued, and I went back to church. And within about 2 weeks, I became a Christian. Things changed. It was like night and day. I was interested in the Bible. I was interested in praying. I loved Jesus. I wanted to talk about him to everybody. My life just completely flipped upside down, and my passions soon went from me and my fun times and desires to serving God's people and being with them, and they've continued to grow from that point.
I have two main passions. One is studying the Bible, and the other is developing people. I love reading the Bible, studying the Bible, going deep into the Bible, and explaining the Bible, applying the Bible, and especially living out the Bible in a community context. One of my favorite things to do is to go deep into the text of the Bible and discover all these treasures and then articulate them, written or verbal, to people. My other passion is developing people, exegeting a person's heart, going into their mind and exploring their life and finding out the gems and treasures that God has put in them, the gifts and abilities that God has put in them, as well as the hurts and pains, struggles and underdeveloped areas, and then using the revelation of God's love in the gospel to lead them out of Egypt, through the desert, into the promised person that God designed them to be.
My greatest passion is helping people. I'm working on my master's so that I can become a therapist. I love listening to people. I love hearing their struggles, empathizing with their hurts, celebrating their victories, and encouraging them to grow. It's my absolute favorite thing. I want to continue to grow those skills and serve the church by doing those things and encouraging people and listening and loving them. That's just my favorite thing to do. The other thing I'm passionate about is music. Mostly I sing, but I play other instruments too. I've been in music leadership in various roles over the last 11 years, pretty consistently. I love it as much now as I did when I started, and that's pretty much the one place where I feel most at home is in leading worship in some capacity. And I continue to do it today, and I continue to love it just as much, and I count it a huge privilege to be able to be part of leading God's people in music.
The majority of my Christian life, I've worked with youth, whether it's middle school or high school or college age, inside the church, in my neighborhood, even in Teen Challenge, adolescent drug rehab. I think my favorite thing about the youth is that natural desire and curiosity for the unknown, for being open to what they don't already know, for the search for something greater. That seems to be a lot more vibrant in young people. Their minds are thirsty for knowledge and their hearts are hungry for guidance, and that makes them apt soil for planting seeds of the gospel and the kingdom.
I, growing up in the church, have been around young people, people younger than me, pretty much my entire life. So I've helped out in the nursery, I've babysat countless times, and I served for a little over a year as an official youth leader in the middle school and high school youth ministry at the church I was part of at the time. But I've always been around young people, and I've got 4 younger siblings, the youngest of whom just graduated high school. So I'm very familiar with young people. I would say my favorite thing about working with that age group is how open they are. I expected them to be very closed off, thinking that I don't know them, I'm not in their same stage of life, so I can't understand them. But what I found is that young people just want to be seen and heard and understood. And if I give them an environment that fosters that kind of openness, they're very open. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to connect, and I absolutely love being part of that.
I think everything centers around Jesus, no matter what the question is. Well, if the question is, what is our ministry methodology that centers around Jesus and his extravagant love for people? I think of 2 Corinthians chapters 3 and 4, where Paul talks about how a person is transformed by seeing the glory of God in the face of Jesus, the Messiah. And he has in mind the Hebrew concept of immense weight and size. And he says that greatness is climaxed in Jesus sacrificed for humanity. And it is that love which is explained and demonstrated that transforms hearts and minds and lives. Well, it is our ambition to join a church family and to live out our vocational mission alongside God's people. And we hope to do this for the edification of the church, for a witness to the world, and for the praise of God's glory and kindness. Thank you.